welcome back to the garden. Today I'm hoping to get my onions and peas planted out. I've already come out once to make a start, but I got rained on, so hopefully we won't be rained on again today now. But I'm in my recently mowed garden. I mowed it the other day because well, it needed a mow, but also with the really bad weather we've been having, I keep looking out of my kitchen window and thinking, oh my gosh, I need to do loads of work in the garden. And it turns out that I didn't really. All I needed to do was mow. Does anyone else find that? As soon as you've mowed or trimmed your pathways, it looks so much better. Anyway, let's get on with planting these. Today is the day I'm eventually going to plant out my onions. Yay! I've been trying to do this all month. But I'm going to put them, I'm going to put them in various different beds because I've got quite a lot of onions. I've probably got more really than I've got space for, but we'll cram them in here and there. The thing with onions is I need to mesh them to keep out the allium leaf miner. So this bed here is going to be a bit tricky to do that in because it's got asparagus growing, and I'm going to plant the onions in between the rows of asparagus. So I'm going to come up with some sort of really clever way not of meshing them. But for the time being, I haven't got a long enough piece of mesh, so I'm just going to use fleece. But as I haven't hardened these off, the fleece will be good because it'll give them that little bit of extra protection to get used to being out. And hopefully the mesh will arrive in the week and I'll swap them over then. So I've got my dibber. I'm just going to dip a few holes along the line and then pop these onions in. So after much trial and error, I've decided to just leave them uncovered because it was just too hard to cover them in such a way that it wasn't affecting the asparagus, and the drain pipes didn't stay on either. So that was a bit of a waste of time. But I shall have to put up a sign saying leaf allium miner elsewhere, something like that. Hopefully the marigolds that I've got in this bed will deter the allium leaf miner. That's all I can do now is hope. Let's get on with something else. This is the bed where I'm going to plant some more onions. I need to clear it. I put in some field beans, which is kind of like a green manure, to grow over the winter. And what it does is it puts nitrogen into the soil, and if I left these to flower, it would take the nitrogen back out into the soil. But if I cut it off now, then it'll leave the nitrogen in nodules on the roots in the soil. So it's good for my soil. But I need to clear it all now, and then I'm going to plant the onions in it, and I also need to give it another dress of manure because the level has sunk a bit. So let's go see what compost I've got. Let's clear this bed and let's get planting those onions. bed all fleeced up now. Hopefully that will grow on fine. I just need to swap out the fleece for Enviromesh when it comes. I had this harvest of carrots here, and I'm not going to bother with this area because you can see all the holes in it. That'll just be full of wood lice, so I'm going to cut that up and it'll go on the compost heap similar to that one. And you might have noticed when I was putting the mulch on the bed that I ended up using bagged compost, and I'm going to show you the reason why now. Because when I went to get the compost, the homemade compost, out of the TARDIS, I discovered it had what looks like bindweed. Let me show you. So I've got this mound here where I took the Dalek bin off, and it's got this in it. And to me that looks like bindweed, but I can't see how it is bindweed because we do not have bindweed anywhere in the garden. There isn't any bindweed in the field, verges of the field either. There's no bindweed here. So I can't see where the bindweed is coming, but I did start to fill this barrow. You can see there's a few bits of that root in here. So I thought what I would do is I will use that compost for pots, because if it does turn out to be bindweed, then throwing away 10-litre pots, compost, is not as bad as putting it into that bed and then ending up with a load of bindweed in my beds, because obviously I don't want that. So that's why I ended up using the bag compost. So I'll have to sort out this one now, this compost, put it back in the Dalek, and I'll use it to mix in with fresh compost for the potatoes and things like that. So this year's pea structure is going to be a couple of old doors, old chicken doors that I kept when we had the new coop, and hopefully they'll go in no problem whatsoever. Well, I thought I better switch to a voiceover at this point to explain what on earth it is that I am doing. But now I'm watching myself, I'm not entirely sure myself. But I do know at this point there is a longer side to that end that I'm hammering, as it's acting like a stake in the ground. So hopefully it'll support the fence as the season goes on. And now I'm attaching the fence post to the sides of the bed, but I've just realised that I think I just saw this piece of wood snap underneath the upright post. So I don't think that upright post is actually attached to anything that's secured anymore. So I'll have to go back and have a look at that when I'm next out in the garden. But this side is secure by the look of it. So that's good. Hopefully that will keep it anchored well for the summer. And also I'm thinking of putting line pins in along here as well, either side of the fences, just to add that extra bit of rigidity. So they won't blow down in the wind. I've moved on now to the other side of the bed for the second chicken door that I've kept in storage. And again, I had to fix this door like I did the other one, which is how I've ended up putting a small batten on it so I can attach it to this bed. And it's looking fairly secure at this point in time. I'm just adding a couple more screws into the middle to anchor it to the middle of this bed. And I'm definitely thinking I'm going to put these line posts in now, because watching this, it is looking a little bit wobbly. And it's only being held up really by a few screws here and there. So I definitely think some line pins are in order. At this point, I'm trying to attach the two doors together to make it stronger. But also I want to attach another piece in the middle, which looks a little bit like a gate, as it were. But it's not a gate. It's some leftover, I think another chicken door that's left over, but it was broken. But it has some chicken wire on it, which is ideal because that first far door that I first put in, the chicken wire on that is slightly broken. So I can staple in the chicken wire on this frame that I'm now working on, and it should help the peas to grow up there. But at this moment in time, I'm trying to work out how much I need to chop off this additional door, as it were, because it's too high up out of the ground. So I have now trimmed the sides, as it were, so it can fit further into the ground, and hopefully it won't stick out so much, because that's going to do my head in over the summer, because it's not nice and level. But I don't want to have to make something specific for this. I'm just going to use what I've got. So that's why I'm using this. And at the moment, I'm just cutting away some of the chicken wire so that it will fit over the middle bit of the bed, because at the moment I can't fit it into place. Now I've cut everything away, I'm screwing this into place, and hopefully this job will be done, because it's taken ages to do this, and I thought it was going to be a really quick job, and it hasn't been. It's not been too bad, but it has definitely taken a lot longer than I thought it would. I thought it would just be a case of washing in a couple of screws and a bit of wood, but anyway, I'm now securing this to that frame, and hopefully then this will stay standing for the coming season, and my peas should grow up it okay. The last job I need to do now is to staple in that chicken wire that I was wittering on about earlier. And I just want to say at this point, it's not that I don't know how to use a stapler, it's that this is a heavy duty stapler, and it's really hard to like press in sometimes, especially when you're sort of not working down on something and working to the side of it. But hurrah, the job is done, and I'm eventually getting on to planting out my peas, which is really, really exciting, because I've been wanting to do this for ages, but I wanted to get the structure up first before I got the peas in. So these are multi-sown peas that I sowed 3 peas per cell tray, as it were, and some have germinated to have 3, but the majority of them have 2, I think. And I'm just gonna bury them? No, I'm just gonna plant them along in one straight line, and hopefully they will grow up, and as they grow up I'll start to feed them through the chicken wire, but hopefully then over time they will just cling on to the chicken wire of their own accord, and I wouldn't need to keep coming back and sorting them out. Fingers crossed those pea frames stay out. They weren't quite what I wanted to do, but they'll do the job. Every year I try a different method. Last year I did sort of 2 bamboo canes with string at certain levels like that, and you just tie them or like group them in as they grow. But this year I thought I'd try the whole climbing thing in the hopes that it wasn't as labour intensive as doing the string every now and again. But we'll see. I think next year I might just do the string. It seemed quite easy that way. Right, let's get on with planting my main crop potatoes. As with all my jobs, I've always got something I need to do first, which is to clear away this cardboard and weed that woolly radish. They can go in the compost now, and then we'll get planting our potatoes. Well, that's it from me for today. That's my potatoes in, my onions in, and my pea frames up. So I'm happy with that. All I can say about my work today is lovely job, and take care everybody.